and journalists. You need to cover any news, at any time, correctly, accurately, and honestly. Because without this, then we are doing nothing. I expect every journalist to follow and respect his professional ethics, so that you don't go beyond imagination and begin to put in your own situation, your own analysis and opinion on some of the issues. There are situations whereby you have the right to go and analyze. But there are situations whereby you need to be very strict and take things as they come. This is the most important part. If you are not fully trained, we will train you for that. Yes. Ladies and gentlemen of the media, the objective of today's meeting is or today's press conference is to brief you and the public and the world at large on the latest developments in the Republic of South Sudan. As you know very well, after that tragic death of our commander in Nasser, which came as a result of conspiracy which happened there in Nasser. I call it a conspiracy because according to the world system, and a wounded soldier is not usually killed. A disarmed soldier is not usually killed. But it happened in Nasser, when the commander and his colleagues were disarmed and shot at a short range. This was despite the fact that the president of the SPLM-AIO, who is currently the first vice president of the Republic of South Sudan, Dr. Riek Machar, had given assurances to UNAMIS that these people can be airlifted safely from Nasser. But what happened? A tragic happened, which we fail to understand whether it was from the IO or was it from the so-called White Army, or currently also there is a new force which is emerging now, which calls itself North Defense Force. That tragedy happened. And after that, after the tragedy, events started to move very fast. And the White Army started to move in all directions. And it started to spread like a wildfire. And so there are so many messages that are appearing in the social media. Some in the name of the White Army, others in the name of North Defense Force, others in the name of the SPLM-AIO. All these are happening and appearing all over. We are unable to understand what is the problem. But to my own understanding, it is clear, it is crystal clear, that the White Army, which has just now transformed itself into a North Defense Force. North, by the way, is in Nuer is the Nuer refer to themselves as North, not as Nuer. So it is Nuer Defense Force in other words. Now this Defense Force is issuing a circular all over, warning against the Dinka all over the Nuer held areas, or all the counties of the Nuer, asking them to move out from there. So the paradox is, the question is, what is this force about? Is it really a Nuer issue? And if they want to remove out all the Dinkas according to their circulars, what about the other nationalities? Where are they leaving them? And what about their brothers and sisters who are living in other territories? what have they done about it? This is a very clear misleading information. And some of these informations, I don't believe them because I can just sit in my room and write all this nonsense and send it to the media. So there is nothing as such. Those who are sending such messages are advised to refrain from doing so. And those who are spreading them also, when you get it in the social media, then you forward it. You keep on forwarding it. They are sure to talk about that. You keep on forwarding it, and in so doing, you are adding more fuel to the fire. This is not correct, and should be corrected. These forces, with whatever names they call themselves, are negative forces. These are forces that are there to interrupt and engage the people of South Sudan on other issues so that people do not pay attention to the implementation of the agreement. There are those who fish in the dirty water, and there are those who fish in the clean water. Those who fish in the clean water are those who do not want to be known. And these are the people now trying to stir up these issues so that another extension comes in. I'm here to assure them, those obstructing the implementation of the agreement, that the agreement will continue to be implemented and elections will be run, despite your obstructions. Of course, those who are obstructing, they believe that if things do not go well, the agreement will not be implemented, and as such, we will go. The agreement, by the way, is an agreement of the parties. And any party who obstructs the implementation of the same agreement will not be tolerated. That will not be tolerated because he is not the only body who is implementing that agreement. So that is what I can say about it. You have come here, ladies and gentlemen, with some questions in mind. Two of them. One of them is the presence of the UPDF. You must be having it in mind, absolutely. And this is what made you all to come here, because you want to know what is UPDF. UPDF is Ugandan People's Defense Forces. It is at present here in Juba. And you have seen it. Even though there are some fake footages that are being shown, like what happened in the airport at that time when we talked, that was not the Matarov, that was not the Juba International Airport. That was, by then it was not Juba International Airport. It was a fake, something collected somewhere and then brought. But at present, the UPDF is present here in Juba. Why is it present here in Juba? It is present here in Juba because the government of South Sudan and the government of Uganda have military pact. A military pact that was signed since the time of LRA. And you know very well, some of you may not know it, you know very well, at the time when operations, combined operations were conducted against the LRA here, and until the American army had a base in Yambio for the same. It is this same pact which is continuing. We have not nullified it, but we use it when necessity requires. So the UPDF that arrive here in Juba are support units and technical units. Support units and technical units, they have come to support their brothers and sisters in the SSPDF. I'm saying this because it is not a secret. There are people who believe that it is a secret. Yes, it is supposed to be a secret in terms of security. In terms of cooperation between the two armies, it is supposed to be confidential. But because of the media these days, people are just throwing everything in the air. and there are no issues of confidentiality any longer, then we had to break it to you, so that you don't talk about it again, so that you know that it is a reality and it is there. This is why I have come to call you, to confirm to you these rumors which you are hearing and people are spreading them day and night. Here they are in the open. Here they are in the open. The SPDF is here in UPDF is here in South Sudan. That is for your information. Baden matem shida gultani, walai galule, mabu gulule tani ta simetu asam in Michael. You have heard it now from me, so there is nothing secret about it. This part talks about protection of the people, the government, and the territorial integrity. This is a fact. And it is not only South Sudan, which is the only country, it is all over the world. It is all over the world, and this is why it is, you see forces being moved from place to another. Like these forces, the American forces who are traveling all over the world. Do they travel second? But they travel based on the facts that are cited. So that is what I can tell you about it. The other thing is, which is also another question lingering in your minds, if you remember it very well, there was the summit, the IGAD summit started last week. And one of the resolutions is that they resolved that the detainees in South Sudan should be released if there is no sufficient evidence against them. Yes, there are people who are detained. And these people, some of them are constitutional post holders, others are not. Those who are constitutional post holders, their immunity has been lifted and they are there to be investigated. They will be investigated and brought to books. Because we cannot condone anybody who is within the government and working hard to overthrow the very government in which he is a party. This cannot happen. This cannot happen at all. You either rebel and go back to the bush so that we follow you, or you be with us and we implement the agreement in letter and spirit. This is the situation, and this is what we need to be clear. So that people do not. So anybody who is not that only, even the IO, they have written, they have requested the release of these people. Why should they be released at a time when they are not yet investigated? They should go undergo investigation, and if there is no case, they will be set free. This is the situation in which we are now. So, ladies and gentlemen, to conclude, I have only for 3 or 4 points. The White Army that claims to be civilian, civilians, and who have decided to take up arms against the government must go back to their respective homes and barracks before we take any action, because we don't want later people to come and say the government is killing the civilians. Meanwhile, the civilians have killed the army. Despite all this, I'm appealing from here to all the White Army who claim to be civilians to go back to their home areas and to their locks. Any civilian who is in the military zone and refusing to leave that military zone will be treated accordingly. So, the White Army is advised, seriously advised, to vacate those places and go back home. The White Army is advised to vacate Nasir as of now. And all their assembly areas of the display of the White Army must be cleared. If you continue to stay in those areas, then you are a negative force. You are a negative force, and the necessary force will be used against you. This is a message to the White Army and all others who have got other names. For the NAS Defense Force, which is now a declared rebellion, we will deal with them accordingly. There is no way we can talk to people who have decided to take up arms against their own government. So that is the situation. That is the point. This White Army, or the Nuer Defense Force, I don't know what are their objectives, but their objectives, of course, are clear. It is not actually for the North as such, because this is the same experience. Events do repeat themselves, I don't know, in the eyes of the IO. Because when the White Army started, it has started it has started actually in 1991 or 2. And then it continued to develop up to 2013. The White Army continued, and it is continuing up to now. It is this White Army who later turns and transforms itself into so many colors. And now it is transforming from the White Army to the Nuer Defense Force. I'm sure it will not stop there. It will transform itself into another negative force in the near future. The objective is not the liberation of the North area, because North area starts from the east up to west. It crosses across South Sudan, South Sudan. Unless you want to create so many countries in South Sudan. Because you will start from Bantiu, from Nasser, you come this way to Jonglei, from Jonglei you pass through, you cross up to Panjak, and from Panjak you cross to Bantiu. This is Nuer land, and this is North land. Now you want to create a defense force to defend North land. What about the rest of the land? You are leaving it for whom? Are we tribalized to that extent? We are not tribalized to that extent, and as such, this North Defense Force is not meant to be the protection of Nuer land as such, but it has other objectives. Just like what happened when the IO had its first when it established at Padak. It did not start as IO. It started as a defense force, or a White Army for that matter. Then it transformed itself into SPLM-AIO, into SPLM, SPLA, and then it later became SPLM-AIO. That is the situation, and this is what I can see in this situation. This scenario is repeating itself, but it will not repeat itself this time. So, my advice to the White Army and the Nuer Defense Forces is let them disperse. Let them disperse. If they are if they are civilians, then let them disperse. If they are not civilians, then we will deal with them accordingly. And for that matter, the White Army or the Nuer Defense Force, all these are negative forces and should be declared terrorist organizations. They should be declared terrorist organizations. Their actions qualify them to be declared terrorist organizations. And for that matter, I am calling upon the African Union, the IGAD, the East African Community, and the UN to declare this force as negative forces, as terrorist forces that are negative and not serving the interests of the people of South Sudan. This request will continue and will follow it to the end. And will make sure that they are declared terrorists. Because who is a terrorist after all? Terrorist is somebody who is not bound by any law and who is not respecting any principles, and he behaves anyhow. That is the person we call a terrorist. Secondly, the threats that are being written in the social media by the North group are unfounded, and they cannot affect us in the performance of our functions and duties. We'll go ahead and we'll continue to deal with them accordingly. My message to the media houses, and I said it at the beginning, you need to be accurate, responsible, and act according to your professional ethics. Act according to your professional ethics. Don't participate in the spread of lies and the spread of negative attitude and approaches that affect human beings. These are not in favor of the media houses. These are not in favor of your own media house or your personality as a journalist. Journalist is somebody who is responsible and respects himself and acts according to his professional ethics. Anybody beyond that is not. So a day may come when we may even decide to screen you like what the Bar Association did. If you continue like this, we will screen you like what the Bar Association did. You know what the Bar Association did. I'm saying this seriously, because some of you seem not to be in conformity with whatever. So that is my message to you as media houses. Ladies and gentlemen, despite all this, be assured that peace is prevailing in South Sudan, and that we are in full control of the situation in South Sudan. There is no question of, there is no doubt, there's no doubt about the situation in South Sudan, and people should not get worried. People should